The fight over vaccine rules has some Denver police officers facing off with their boss. And while the city of Denver knows how many people are exempt from its rules, you know who couldn't tell us today? The state of Colorado. And what is keeping the city of Denver from protecting bicyclists better? The city says it's a lack of space. Bike advocates don't buy it.
There's a disconnect there between what engineers are saying feels safe versus what people are actually experiencing on the roadways.
We have watched Arvada police officer Gordon Beasley's love for children for years. Today, dozens of kids honored his legacy. Friends, the ones you can depend on. Ending the week with your good news, because this is next. Space is not infinite, at least when it comes to infrastructure. Denver is planning its budget for next year, and the department responsible for bike lanes was asked by City Council to explain why it doesn't build more protected lanes for cyclists. The answer? Space. Our Marshall Zollinger is showing us the different options for safe cycling in limited space.
We've done a lot of stories about bike lanes on Next. We're going to start this one by showing you the different versions of bikeways in the city so you can visualize the difference from one to another. For starters, this is simply a bike lane. A buffered bike lane looks similar. Painted stripes on the road separate traffic from the cyclists. A protected bike lane adds a physical barrier separating cyclists from cars. Then there are the shared street arrows, the sharrows. Cars and bikes using the same lane. We're going to focus on protected bike lanes because in a Denver City Council hearing about next year's budget for each department, Council President Stacy Gilmore asked the interim head of the city's Department of Transportation why the city does not focus on protected bike lanes over the other options.
Where it is cost prohibitive to do that, where we would have to do a property take and reduce our housing inventory to do that, we then look at alternatives.
I checked with the city, and eminent domain, government taking property or a home, has never been used to build an on-street bike lane. The city has used eminent domain for lanes for cars and traffic signal improvements. A spokeswoman for the city's transportation department said in an email that the interim director's point was that the city needs to work within the right-of-way between a street's two curbs.
It was pretty telling that his first reaction was that, well, there's no room for bikes since we have all these other travel lanes and parking, that the only option would be to remove houses to build more protected bike lanes. And that's just not true.
Molly McKinley is with the Denver Streets Partnership, which focuses on biking, walking, and transit. She points out major roads like Broadway take up a large area for cars and limited space for alternatives.
That's a reflection of what we value as a city right now. It's moving vehicles. And if we're going to shift our values, we need to shift how we allocate that right of way.
Denver ranks the different bikeway options that I showed you on a level of comfort. Regular bike lanes rank the lowest comfort level, then those buffered, the stripes in between the bike lane and the traffic. Then it's the protected bike lane. We're getting to the higher comfort level. It also lists sharrows as toward the highest comfort level, and then ultimately a trail with no cars. But Anusha, the sharrows, depending on your perspective, and I'll tell you as an amateur cyclist, sharing the lane with the car is not a high comfort level for me. Sure. I would put that closer toward the low end.
Okay, so I'm just thinking walking around downtown Denver, along Broadway, all these areas, right? You see a lot of pavement, see a lot of sidewalk. There's really not enough space to do all of this?
Well, the cycling community would say, look at Broadway, for example, and there's a stretch where there's like 3 or 4 lanes of traffic, a bus lane, and they like to call it car storage, where you park. Of all that concrete, really, you can't turn something into a bike lane, and the city will take into account traffic flows, how it impacts the neighborhood, how it impacts traffic elsewhere if you convert something. So, I mean, there is an equation to it, but there are certain parts of the city where you look and it's like, wait, space is the problem here? Yeah,
all right. Well, very interesting. Thank you so much, Marshall. Appreciate it. Well, Denver police say they have completed an investigation into sexual assault allegations against Denver Public School Board member Tay Anderson. Those findings were then turned over to the district attorney's office, which decided not to file any charges after concluding that it can't prove a case against him. Anonymous secondhand allegations of sexual assault against Anderson were not substantiated by a separate investigation that was also launched by the school board. The investigation did confirm what Anderson said publicly months ago, that he flirted online with someone that he later learned was underage. The state announced earlier this week that it is bringing back its plan to give every Coloradan free COVID-19 at-home test. You know what comes after that? We start hearing from some of you guys saying, oh, we're having issues getting one to our house. The state is asking you to be a little patient. Colorado is ordering 2 million tests, and each Coloradan can request up to 8 of them. Once you submit an application for the test, you're supposed to get an email to complete the order process. Some of you have been waiting a few days. You still haven't received said email. So the Department of Health told us that they are reviewing all of the requests that come through the online enrollment form to make sure that each person is actually eligible. So once that request is approved, then you get that email. They tell us that Coloradans should expect the email within a week or 2 of submitting the form online, and only then can they order the test through the online portal. An at-home test shortage is also expected in the coming weeks. This is as more employers are implementing testing rules for those who are not vaccinated. 7 Denver police officers are now suing over the public health order that require them to get vaccinated. Denver police officers have until the end of the month to get vaccinated or have an exemption in place for COVID-19 or face a possibility of losing their jobs. Their boss, Chief Paul Pazin, is listed in the suit. So are Mayor Michael Hancock and Denver's Public Health Director, Bob McDonald. In this suit, the 7 officers are calling the public health order, quote, nothing more than a series of rules. They're claiming that the city doesn't have the authority to issue those rules, and they want a court to block the mandate, review the order to determine if it's lawful. Previously, the city attorney did say that precedent for this kind of rules was set decades ago. The city also said as of today, 92% of city and county employees have submitted proof of vaccination or have received an approved exemption. Tonight's next question comes to us from a viewer on Twitter who wanted to know if an unvaccinated state employee tests positive for COVID-19, do they still get paid if they have to stay home? It's one of many questions we've had about the vaccine mandate for state employees. Long story, kind of short. There are options where people can get paid time off regardless of their vaccine status. Any state employee who gets COVID can use public health emergency leave to cover time off. If that's exhausted, then a person can use their sick leave or their annual time off. So what happens if a person thinks they got COVID at work? The state said it can be tricky to figure out, but would follow the lines of a workers' compensation claim and investigation. An unvaccinated person with an exemption exposed at work would get administrative leave only for the testing period, and then it's back to using public health emergency leave, sick, and annual leave. We also asked how many state employees have received an exemption, and the state said the system to track these waivers is still being finalized. They did, however, tell us that 78% of state employees are vaccinated or have received their first dose. So if you have a question, we have ways of getting you answers. You can record a video, audio message of yourself asking that question, and then go ahead and email us at next@9news.com. So we have talked throughout this pandemic about the number of families who are just struggling with enough food or accessing healthy food regularly, and how that's really skyrocketed in Denver. So we were curious today, what happened to the Healthy Food for Denver Kids initiative? It was okayed by you, the voter, for a cause that is particularly important right now. The first time we talked about this, it was almost 2 years ago. The program was already a year old. Tax dollars were being collected to the tune of millions, and the city had not spent money directly on feeding kids, but had spent money on staff, and then we're trying to figure out the priorities and how to be good stewards of tax dollars. Back then, the goal was in 2020, they wanted to get things rolling as need was also skyrocketing and get those grants open to people. Turns out they actually did that, giving out nearly $7 million to 64 organizations last year. Another round of grants is set to be announced next week as well. This is all set to bring in around $11 million within tax dollars every year for 10 years. So in case you haven't noticed, Kyle is off today, but your Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign, it is continuing. And this week, we're buying books for students in low-income communities around the metro area.
Welcome to my daughter's home library. This is one of the books that we've been reading together lately, and this is one of my favorites when I was growing up. Your Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign this week is building home libraries for the kids in Scholars Unlimited's after-school programs in low-income communities around the metro area. And they're picking out books with representation, so the lead characters reflect these students' families. They can see themselves in the pages. Text thanks to 303-871-1491 to join me and other Next viewers in giving. Every $5,000 we can raise gets one book for all 500 kids in the program, and we are coming up on giving them a home library of 8 books. I bet we might even do better than that. Thank you.
I feel really energized and really happy.
Something happy from something tragic. A nonprofit finds a way to honor a fallen Arvada police officer while making some young kids smile in the process. This VFW neon sign was given a new life 5 years ago. Now it just needs a worthy space to hang from. Speaking of signs, this is one that Colorado Parks and Wildlife never thought they'd need. A reason to facepalm. Next. We have watched Arvada police officer Gordon Beasley's dedication to kids for years. He had formed a bond with an Oberon Middle School student, riding his bike with him to school twice a week when he couldn't do it alone. Officer Beasley was killed in the line of duty in June, shot in Old Town Arvada by a man investigators say targeted him because he was a police officer. Today, a nonprofit and dozens of kids honored his legacy.
Today, we're going to unload bikes out of this truck, handles on either end. Okay. Today, we are building
I think we got everything.
70 bikes for 70 second graders.
Because the lock can fit into either side.
Because these look the same.
At 2 separate Title I elementary schools.
I am now, and you were right.
The more I thought about it, the more I realized how we're doing this for kids, and it would be fun to do something with my dad.
I'll get the wrench.
Our bikes are pretty easy to build, but they definitely need some love and care as you're assembling them.
We're not just showing up, we're doing something productive, and at the end of the day, we'll both feel reward from that.
A brand new bike and a helmet is really all about adventure, responsibility, community, development. This is a way for kids to get to school.
I'm sure it's hard to keep a secret so the kids don't know what's going on.
I like to say kids' heads pop off their body, right? Like they're like, whoa!
Oh, you're gonna be surprised, trust me!
We can't wait to see the look on the kids' face.
These kids, they don't get anything new. This is a brand new bike and a brand new helmet.
I mean, how many kids can get a brand new bike? It's a pretty special thing, so I just feel really good for them.
Which one? Let's go see.
They can ride together to school, away from school, on adventures all weekend, get away from screens.
Oh, that's a good one. Nice choice.
To add the extra component in memory of Officer Beasley, who rode bikes with kids in this community and really brought his love of bikes and the safety and what biking brought to him and all the kids who rode with him, really just takes this to level 11.
I feel really energized and really happy.
So they go crazy. They're excited about it. It's Friday. They're going to ride all weekend on it. And they can have amazing adventures as they're out here.
You got it?
Hey there, happy Friday. You can see the weekend from here. So nice to have those blue skies with us and a brief cool off too. Daytime highs only made their way into the 70s. Pretty typical for this time of the year around the metro areas, some 60s and 70s up in the high country. And it's a quiet night as we have clear skies from the western slope to the eastern plains. Tonight, 30s and 40s way up high. We'll bottom out into the 40s by early Saturday morning, but a nice warm up on the way with this huge ridge of high pressure that builds in for the weekend. Daytime highs feeling a little bit more like summer, even though it is our first full weekend of fall. Look at this 7-day forecast. 90 degrees the record on Sunday. We'll be close to it. Pretty toasty for the Broncos home opener. We'll stay in the 80s early next week before a chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms by next Wednesday and Thursday.
Like, how much more Americana can you get than the first VFW sign that's in neon?
America's first VFW Post had its neon sign refurbished 5 years ago. They're still waiting to hang it because the building itself needs some refurbishing. And from a friend serving as a post-surgery nurse to still being able to do what you love at the age of 87. We share your Friday good news next. The VFW wants you to know they're still here. They're still helping veterans. The oldest post in the country is on Santa Fe Drive in Denver. But a sign of their long history, it's in hiding, sitting on the floor after being refurbished 5 years ago. And the VFW said they need some help to get it back out for everyone to see.
When I was a kid, it's like you used to drive by the building and see this. Like, how much more Americana can you get than the first VFW sign that's in neon? Okay. Yay, it unlocked.
VFW Post 1 is the first post in the entire nation, founded in 1899. We moved a few years back, but now with our new building, we're trying to get the building up to all the requirements needed to be able to put our sign back up.
So here's where it sits, all in its glory right now. This is actually from the 9th and Bannock building.
This beautiful sign has been sitting in the building inside for 7 years. We look at that beautiful sign every day thinking, this should be out there for people to enjoy. I mean, it's one of those old, gorgeous neon signs. And we just look at it sitting on the floor. It's terrible.
It's definitely cool that we have it. It'd be really cool if we could put it up.
We've been raising funds for the remodeling of our building because, I mean, we desperately want this sign back up. We came up with a campaign called Portraits Helping Heroes. Right now we have just started the campaign. Our first celebrity on board is country music artist Michael Peterson. Since we've just started, we're trying to let celebrities, hopefully local celebrities, know that I'd love to paint their portrait. And we will put it out as a prize drawing. And of course, the larger the fan base, the more donations we'll get, and the more we can get done on our remodeling our building so we can get our sign back up. We want that sign up for people to know that we are still here and we are still helping veterans.
For 264 Fridays, we have shared your good news. For the 265th edition, we asked our Facebook followers, give us a little glimpse into what's making you happy this week. And it is good. Chris is grateful for her friend Paula, who flew in from out of state to help take care of her as she was recovering from a recent surgery. Says Paula has done so much for her, wanted to give her a shout out. Corey is really happy about her son's progress on his school lesson plans. He has special needs, has been learning at home since March of 2020. She says that Wednesday was a banner day for him and she wanted to share it with the world. And Billy's good news is that at the age of 87, he is still out there and he is still taking care of his sheep along with his border collie Sam, except we're not 100% sure exactly how helpful Sam is being, because if you can check him out on the far left, he might just be taking a nap, herding tactic. We're not really sure what's happening there. If you have some Friday good news you'd like to share with us, please just head over to the next Facebook page. It is a sign that CPW probably never thought they would have to post. The latest example of why we just can't have nice things. That's next. It is a sign that Colorado Parks and Wildlife, they are over your excrement. Watch your step at 11 Mile Reservoir Campground. Here's the thing, right? They're not going to be putting up a sign telling people not to defecate on the rocks unless people were defecating on the rocks. A viewer named Regina spotted the sign and then stepped carefully away. Before we go, we wanted to say a fond farewell to 9 News producer Austin Cox. Austin is an amazing friend, wonderful colleague, has been such an important part of Next for the last couple of years. In between producing the noon show, he's been helping us track down right stories for the show. What Do You Say segment still around thanks to his hard work. Our Best of Next holiday specials wouldn't exist without him. He's leaving for greener pastures in the city of Westminster. Lucky city. Thanks so much for hanging out, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.